5:34 now the time. April is STD Awareness Month, and today DHEC offered free STD screenings for South Carolina residents. Our medical reporter Rosemarie Beltz joins us now with your health headlines this evening.
It's an important issue, JR. Sexually transmitted diseases are spreading faster here in South Carolina than in most other states. In fact, the Palmetto State ranks third highest in the country when it comes to the increasing rates of several STDs and STIs. According to CDC data from 2017, South Carolina has one of the highest cases of chlamydia in the United States, with 649 cases per 100,000 residents. South Carolina also ranks fourth for states with the most cases of gonorrhea. But it's not just the Palmetto State that is seeing this alarming trend. According to the CDC, doctors diagnosed more than 2 million people with syphilis, gonorrhea, or chlamydia in 2016, and these rates don't appear to be slowing down. So what are some steps to prevent the spread of STDs? Use protection, get the HPV vaccine, talk to your partner and your healthcare provider, and finally, get tested. So we're going to switch gears here for a minute and move on to another important health topic. Dirty beards. A new report from Switzerland may have guys reaching for the razor. It turns out that your beard may be dirtier than your dog's fur. Laura Perez has more.
Nice. Good dog. Yeah, about that beard though.
I do not think my beard has more bacteria than the average dog's fur.
He scoffs, but a new study from Switzerland found more harmful bacteria in samples taken from men's beards than the fur from dogs' necks. In fact, 39% of the men studied tested positive for microbes that pose a threat to human health. Is it true in your and Ziggy's case?
I don't know. My dog likes to roll and poop, so...
We couldn't get an actual doctor to weigh in, but we did find Jake, who has some expertise in the subject.
So when I was in elementary school, I did a science fair project about whether humans had more bacteria in their mouths than dogs.
Not surprisingly, he and other bearded fellows and bearded barbers with pups question the study.
He goes on hikes twice a day, and, you know, we're in a big city, so I would have to assume that he has more bacteria than my beard, but
at least we hope.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah.
And my dog is always outside running around, getting dirty and stuff, you know.
I want to see proof. I need to see it. I need to see the study for myself.
But clean-shaven dog owners aren't quite as skeptical. Do you think your dog is more clean than the average man's beard?
I would say yeah, for sure.
And you have friends with beards?
Yes, I do.
Who are likely have more bacteria than your dog?
Probably.
So,
Dirty beards.
have you had a beard?
It's been ages. I mean, it's been a long, long time.
That was pretty interesting. A little bit unpleasant.
Yeah, I'd rather not do the beard thing again.
Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of women watching this like, see, there you go. There's a reason to shave. Gotta love that.
Might be.
Right, so we're going to now switch gears again,
Yeah?
right, from beards to sleep. So do you get enough sleep?
I try to sleep anywhere from 7 to 9 hours a night. I need it.
Wow.
I need it.
That's impressive.
7 to 9 is what I have to go with.
I don't even get that. That's impressive. I'm the health reporter and I'm not getting that much sleep, so
right.
good for you. Well, it's interesting because you're one of the few. According to the CDC, about 30% of Americans do not get enough sleep. And so we know we're not getting enough sleep, right? We all know this. This is not common knowledge to us, but we don't know why. So a new study came out last night, and I thought it was interesting enough to talk about it today. Do you know why you seem to have good sleep habits. Do you know why you get enough sleep?
I make myself.
You make yourself.
I make myself.
You make yourself. Okay. Well, so not a lot of people have those good instincts. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of misbeliefs about sleep. Like I said, we know why. We know we're not getting enough sleep, but we don't know why. So researchers out of New York, they decided to comb the internet. They actually looked at about 8,000 websites and different studies. And it was a really interesting group of researchers. They were highly qualified researchers from focus groups. They actually were sleep experts, published in at least 20 articles that they chose these scientists to look at why that is and some of the myths that they found circulating the internet, maybe myths that we talk about amongst our peers. Right. And the first one is that 5 hours of sleep is enough, that we need fewer than that. So, and I have to even say, as a health professional, I always thought 5 to 7 was fine, but it turns out sleep does vary based on our age, but every time you drop below 5 hours of sleep, your risk of disease and mortality from like cardiovascular disease, obesity, and some cancers can actually double. So that was pretty interesting, and that was the number one myth that they found. And the second myth that they found was that you know those people, they say that they're good sleepers,
right?
They can sleep anywhere,
right?
Well, it turns out that unless you're a child, a baby in a car seat, that's probably
shouldn't do that, right?
You shouldn't do that. It turns out when we sleep, our brain and our cells restore really important hormones that, one, help us keep us awake, but then help decrease when we sleep. And it turns out if we're not getting enough sleep, we build up these hormones and these chemicals, and our body doesn't have time to flush out those hormones. So it turns out that that's actually not, in fact, a good idea. And another third big myth was that people adapt. Do you hear those people that say, I don't need enough sleep?
I hear that all the time, and I don't believe them.
Yeah, well, no, it's true. Our body, we have several sleep cycles a night. Mm-hmm. So whether it's, you might think that your body adapts to 5 hours, but you don't really want to wake yourself up after all of those sleep cycles have repeated themselves. And we know for sure, studies show with people who work night shift, they don't have time to restore all those chemicals that I just talked about in the previous myth, that they also have high risk of disease, cancers, and so forth. So it's really not a good idea to pride yourself on being able to sleep anywhere or needing less sleep, because that's just simply not true. And the fourth one, and I think there's a lot of partners out there that are probably watching, or family members, that snoring is harmless. It's not always critical, but in some cases it can lead to sleep apnea. And if we have sleep apnea, if you disrupt your sleep during the evening, one, it's not pleasant. It's going to wake you're going to wake up again during those sleep cycles, and that again can also lead to a lot of heart problems down the line if you're not breathing and it's waking you up.
What if the dog is snoring?
Well, dogs always have an exception. The family member, not so much. We forgive the pets, that's for sure. That's funny. Also, the fifth myth that I thought was interesting, that alcohol actually helps us sleep. It does not. It might help us fall asleep, right? But it doesn't keep us asleep. It actually disrupts our deep levels of sleep. I thought that was interesting. Even a lot of sleep medication, or not even cold medication, it's the alcohol in that actually helps us sleep and get rest. A lot of people might not realize that, why they work so well. But we don't really want to. We want to stay in that deep sleep, and alcohol can disrupt that. So maybe that's why you might think you pass out, but you still don't feel so great the next day. And also another myth that I thought was really, really interesting is that a lot of people think as they get older, they sleep more. But it turns out data analysis shows that we actually sleep less. But they don't know if that's a good thing or if that's underlying health conditions. So it's a myth. You might be sleeping less as you get older, but that might not necessarily mean that it's a good thing.
I don't know. I've found that as I'm getting older, I'm sleeping more. So
you are just a pillar of health.
That's what I have found out anyway.
Well, again, a pillar of health. Most people are not doing what you're doing. And also, I think another myth that I thought was really important was, no matter what time of day, people thought that it was okay to sleep. And we know, again, from shift workers, it does matter. You want your outside clock to be in sync with the inside and outside to match up your circadian rhythm. So night shift workers also not so great.
All right. Well, some interesting info on sleeping. I'll keep it all in mind as I drift off.
Right, because beliefs, as you drift off, beliefs will then hopefully lead to better habits.
All right. Rosemarie, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Up next, South Carolina's weatherman Jim Gandy is going to join us. He's got a complete check on your forecast, which includes a sunny day on tap for tomorrow.